Hi friends! Today I want to talk about mommyhood and finding your tribe and how important it is. So as a new mommy, possibly, and your world is completely turned upside down, you might be thinking, how do I find mom friends? Well, today I have 5 tips on where to find mommy friends and 5 tips on how to go about doing it. So stick with us and we will start to explore those options today. My oldest daughter was born in 2012. And I was probably the last of my friends to have a child outside of my single friends who didn't have children. So I was kind of in a weird dynamic. Most of my married friends had children, but they were older. And then I had my single friends who were not married and didn't have children. And here I was with a newborn. I had friends, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really have mommy friends that were in that same season as I. So I was like, okay, I'm grateful for my friends, but I was really yearning for someone who was kind of in the same season as me. And that's what got me started thinking about this video today, is finding mommy friends. When my oldest daughter was 15 months, we moved from the place that I had lived my entire life. Starting over here in Northern California definitely prompted me to kind of look at what it means to make friends and how important it is to have that tribe of mommies in your life as you're going through the little kid years, the baby years especially, but certainly as your kids get older as well. All right, so to get to the 5 places that I mentioned, ideas on where to meet mommies, the first one that I want to start with is church. Or a lot of places have MOPS groups, and you don't actually even have to belong to a church to go to MOPS. MOPS stands for Mothers of Preschoolers, and it's just a great place to connect. There's usually, in fact, I think part of MOPS is that there's childcare included in the price that you pay, which is not a lot, especially not when you look at what you're getting out of it. There's friendship and talking to other adults. So there's church and MOPS groups. Now, I mentioned church first because that's actually where I met my first friend when I moved here to Northern California, and our kids are actually the exact same age. They're like 2 days apart. We had both come out of the service at the same time to kind of, hover and peek through the door to make sure our babes were doing okay in there. They were about 18 months. Mine had been in the nursery a little bit longer, so she was pretty okay. But I remembered, when I first put her in the nursery, she was like, what? What, you're leaving me? Oh no. So it took a few times for her to realize that it's okay, we're coming back, and she actually started to really enjoy it. But my friend had just started coming to church, and her 18-month-old at the time was going through that same thing, like, where are you going? So we were both kind of peeking in to make sure and that our kids were okay, and we saw each other in the hallway, and we kind of connected and locked eyes and just sort of started laughing, and a conversation started from there. And we, well, how old's your kid? Oh, and so then we were like, oh my gosh, they're super close in age. And we exchanged email addresses, actually. And I thought, okay, well, I'll shoot her an email and we'll plan a play date. And because I was like, yes, my first friend. We went and took the kiddos out on a walk near this river that's really popular, and just threw rocks in the river and had a great time, ended up really connecting. And the awesome thing was that our kids really connected as well. So she was my very first friend. So if you have a church that you belong to, I would encourage you to take a peek in the nursery. Find the kids that are about the same age as yours and maybe see about meeting the moms. Or alternatively, look into MOPS. It's something that I have considered, and now that my youngest is a little bit older, I actually am thinking about potentially looking into it for myself next year. I've heard nothing but amazing things about. Suggestion number 2 would be to utilize social media. I mean, it's already kind of taken over everything, so might as well sort of just check it out and see if you find anything in your area. That was one of the things that I did when I first got here. I actually got on Facebook and I typed in the county where I live and I put moms. and I found a mom group, and I asked to be added, and they accepted. And they do a group thing in the summer. They actually do a particular day, and they go to a particular place every week, once a week, every week for the entire summer. And it's a great place for kids, and it's awesome. There's all kind, and it's open to anyone. Anyone can come. You can come whenever you want during the time frame that they're there. You can stay as long or as little as you like. If you're not digging it, then the place is huge and you can go off and do your own thing. So social media, if you are on social media, I would definitely encourage you to utilize that. Type in the name of your city and put moms group or moms or whatever, and you'll find something at least that you can plug into and try to get connected in that way. Place number 3 would be kind of the obvious. Where are some places that mommies hang out? Well, in here where I live, some examples would be the library for story hour, the trampoline park for toddler time, or there's several gyms that are like gymnastics gyms, and they have open playtime for kids under 5. And then they also have days that they do kids over 5. And so you're pretty much guaranteed to meet a parent. It's usually the mom. Sometimes it's the dad, but you know what? It's usually the moms. And so there's almost a guarantee that you will run into some moms there. Then if there's like a splash pad in the summer, that's another great place. Or if your mall has a play structure, that's another place. Or Barnes & Noble. Sometimes the bookstores have little areas for kids. So think about, where do you want to go with your kid, and where do you like to take them when you need to get out of the house because you're about to go crazy? So there's probably another mom that's thinking the same. So go to the places where other moms hang out. Point number 4 would be a community support group. And I'm talking about maybe a specific thing. For example, the one that sticks out in my mind is like a breastfeeding support group. And there's the La Leche League it's all over. So if you are a breastfeeding mom and you are down to look into that and spend some time with other moms who are learning about breastfeeding and trying to get the hang of it, because believe it or not, you don't generally just get to plug them in. Takes a little bit of work, but that's another video. So look into the La Leche League and see if there is a group around that you can join into, and go to a couple meetings and see if you can find some other like-minded mamas. The last point is point number 5, and this is random places. Now this is if you are walking around the store and you see a mom that has a kid that's about your age, or you're walking through the mall and you see the same, or you're at the park and your kids connect somewhere. I actually have a fun random story to share with you about meeting a mom friend, and that was at a random place. I was at the World Market and I was there alone, and I hear Curious George, and I'm looking around trying to see what is going on and why is there Curious George, and I see a mom, and she's about my age, and she's got a little girl, and she looks to be about the same age as my oldest, and she has really long legs, and she's tall, which is the same as my oldest. And I'm trying not to gawk, because that's awkward. I'm not a creeper, but I'm looking and I'm like thinking in my mind, yes, go talk to her. You could be friends. And then I'm like, but that's weird. Why, she would think you're strange. Why would you do that? That would be really awkward. And so the adult grown-up part of me was like, don't go do that. But then in the back of my mind, go talk to this person. So after a little internal battle, I went over and I said hi to her, and I said, sorry, I was staring. I said, but your daughter's listening to Curious George, and she's tall and she has blonde hair, and it's about the same as my daughter. I asked how old she was, and everything was lining up. And so it was like, we had this great conversation, and then it kind of was like, oh, okay, well, have a nice day. Yeah, you too. And then I'm like, okay, well, what do I do from here? And so I walked around the store having this little internal battle about feeling embarrassed or feeling kind of like a dork for chasing after this person and saying, will you go on a play date with me? But ultimately I decided to do that, and so I tracked her down, and I was like, I promise I'm not a weirdo. I'll even show you a picture of my kid. I just moved here. I was like, I don't have very many mom friends, and I would love to get our girls together for a play date if you're interested in that. And she just laughed, and she's like, yeah, I would love that. And I'm like, thank goodness she didn't say, we're all full up, thanks. So anyway, she's actually become one of my dearest friends, and I'm so grateful that that it worked out and that I got the courage and went and spoke to her and pushed aside that silly insecurity that sometimes we get as adults when you're trying to make new friends, because sometimes it's awkward. Okay, so we've talked about the 5 places of where to look for friends, and now let's talk about the 5 ways to accomplish this. So the first and most obvious thing is strike up a conversation. If their kid is adorable or has amazing shoes, say that. Or if their kid looks like they're the same age as your kid, ask them how old their kid is. How old is your son, or how old is your daughter? Because that's immediately going to start up a conversation. And the other thing is, if their kid is 6 and short and your kid is 3 and tall, well, that may or may not work, but that's the best way to figure out if this is going to be a good, if this is going to be a good match. And if they're open to talking, great, then you start a conversation. Number 2, act like you're friends until you actually really are. It's kind of that whole fake it until you make it thing. And you might be thinking, that's kind of weird. Well, not really. I don't know about you, but when I enter into a conversation with a stranger, I appreciate when this stranger can be kind and can treat me as if they know me, or that they are interested in what I'm saying, or that they have a good attitude or whatever. So if you're kind and you are having a conversation and they're sharing and they're talking and kind of feels natural, great. So fake it till you make it. Tip number 3. Watch who your kid is attracted to. Watch who your kid is playing with. Now, I understand that when kids are little, it's more parallel play versus, interaction. But is there someone that they're drawn to? And if so, is it, kind of check out and see, who are they here with? Are they with a mom? Are they with a dad? Who are they here with? So watch your kid and see who they play with and who they gravitate towards. Is it the crazy kid that runs up and down the slide? Oh, that was my kid. Or is it the quiet one? Look and see who are they gravitating towards, and then check out the mom. And as long as they don't look like an axe murderer, go over and talk to them. Enter in first point, start up a conversation. Point number 4, propose a play date. If the mom seems like a safe enough person, propose a play date in a public area where you guys can go and kind of connect a little bit more one-on-one. And let the kids play, maybe go to the park, or go to the trampoline park, or go wherever, the library, the bookstore, it doesn't really matter. Propose some place where your kids can go and act a fool over there while you sort of try to have this connection with the other mom. And if they say yes, awesome. Then we're moving on to point number 5, which is, if this is someone that you like and you've gone on a couple play dates and they've gone well, my suggestion would be ask them on a mom date. A mom-only date. And this could look like really whatever your schedule will allow. This could look like coffee in the morning. This could be lunch. It could be dinner, or if dinner doesn't work, it could be coffee in the evening. Well, maybe not coffee. It could be tea in the evening, or maybe you go get a drink. Whatever sounds good to you, you propose a mom-only time. And then you go and you have a little bit of one-on-one time where you actually get to talk about adult things and have adult conversations with words that don't usually include things like booger and don't push your sister. So that's awesome to me. I look forward to those kinds of conversations. Okay, so you've met some mom friends, you've met a couple, maybe you've just met one and you like this person and you want to continue a relationship. The last part of what I want to talk about is keeping it going. I know as moms and parents and busyness and life, it's easy to just kind of drill in on your family and focus on your family and not really get out very much. But if you meet a mom or 2 or 3 that really speak to you and you really connect with and you really click with, my suggestion is to be very intentional. If you find someone that you like, make sure that you spend the time with them. Make the time. Talk to your husband and say, look, I don't have a lot of friends. Can I have, one night a week, or one night every other week, or even one night a month, or whatever that looks like. Can I have this time? I'd like to go and work on building a relationship with Sally. I really, really like her. Our kids are the same age. They get along. And I really want to foster this relationship. So this is just basically me saying and me encouraging you to be intentional with the friendships that you start. Okay, guys, there you have it. That was my 5 and 5. Now, if you like this video or if you feel like it's been helpful, I would love if you would share it with your friends or maybe make some comments, especially in this season. Raising babies takes, it takes a village, and it really does. If you have an idea, I'd love it if you would share it in the comments below, and so we can kind of have a dialogue about it. I would love that. So if you like our video, please click like. As I said, sharing would be awesome. That would be great. And I'd also like to invite you to be a subscriber. I've got over 70 videos basically about family, raising babies with a husband and family and all kinds of stuff. So we would love for you to join with us, be a subscriber, check out our other videos. We have a Facebook page and we have a blog, and we would love for you guys to check those out as well. Thank you so much for watching today. Hope you guys are doing really well. Bless you, have a great week, and stay tuned for our new video next week.